Right now, at 6, fire tears through a Vancouver apartment complex, leaving one person dead and more than 20 others without a home.
I could see a little bit of smoke on the ceiling.
Wow, okay.
That's when I grabbed the boys and was like, we got to get the leashes and go.
And a Tigard police officer on the wrong side of the law, why his words on a search warrant could now land him behind bars. Plus, police launching a different kind of drone to get eyes on emergency situations when every second counts.
So that's been huge for us to know exactly what we're going into.
Then sunny skies to kick off Portland's summer festival season. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino is live at the Cinco de Mayo celebration on the waterfront. Thanks for joining us at 6 on this first Friday in May. Another day of mostly sunny, warm weather across the Northwest. Some changes are on the way, but they shouldn't put too much of a damper on your weekend. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino enjoying the weather and having a grand time down at the Cinco de Mayo Fiesta on the Portland waterfront. Matt, you've eaten some tasty food. You've ridden a bull. You're really getting your weekend started early here.
I tell you what, we've seen a big change in the weather over the last hour. It's gotten cloudy, we're getting lots of stuff falling out of the trees, and a lot cooler too, but it doesn't mean the party has ended, because it hasn't. There's all these carnival rides. In a bit, Leslie's gonna give me some tips on how to pop the balloon and win the giant, stuffed bees that are up there. We'll do that a little bit later on, but it's been a lot of fun down here at Cinco de Mayo. The food is great. If you watched at 5, you saw me ride the mechanical bull. Luckily, I didn't get thrown off of that. It's all good, and everybody's having just a really good, chill time. And the weather is great because it's not too hot. But if you are coming out, you definitely want to grab a jacket or a sweater because it's cooling off. There will be some showers that show up later. We'll talk more about that and how much of your weekend may be impacted by those showers coming up in just a bit. Back to you.
Still plenty of time to have a good time. Thank you, Matt. All right, to an update now on the breaking news we told you about at 5 involving a standoff at an I-5 rest area in Marion County. Oregon State Police say they have a suspect in custody now. Earlier this afternoon, OSP got a report of someone pointing a gun at people at the Santiam River rest area that is located between Albany and Salem. When troopers arrived, they say the suspect was not cooperative. The rest area was closed while police handled the situation. The suspect will likely face charges of menacing and disorderly conduct. A fire at a Vancouver apartment complex has left one person dead and more than a dozen others without a home tonight. Celine Stevens is live now at the complex. Celine, what can you tell us?
Christine, so over the last few hours, there's still been people walking around with their belongings and just sort of lingering in the area. And if you look behind me right now, at the top of this apartment, you're going to see workers were earlier working on securing a tarp to the top of this very burnt section of this apartment. You'll still see them up there right now. And so the people I spoke with earlier today told me that they woke up to the sound of a fire alarm and then smelled the smoke and saw the flames. The fire broke out just before 3 a.m. here at Evergreen Point Apartments, damaging about 9 units, displacing over 20 people and leaving one adult dead.
It was only a few seconds before it started really ripping.
And it just immediately, you could see this roaring, popping fire coming from the top of the building.
Early Friday morning, the Vancouver Fire Department responded to a heavy fire coming from this third-story apartment. The fire alarm waking up residents before 3 a.m.
I opened my door and smelt it, and then I could see a little bit of smoke on the ceiling.
Wow, okay.
That's when I grabbed the boys and was like, we got to get the leashes and go.
This man recounting just how fast he saw the fire spread.
But by the time I reached that car, maybe 15 paces away, it had already spread to the outside of the apartment and was going up on top.
Residents stood outside for hours after the fire was put out.
But we just wait outside more than like 7 hours, and they just not let us go to inside the apartment because they say it's dangerous and also not safe to go in.
Many people waiting to find out if they will be allowed to go back into their homes.
They'll just take one by one people, just go with them, and then they have a flashlight because everywhere is dark, you can't see anything. It's no electric. A lot of water on the floor. It was slippery. There's nobody inside now.
According to VFD, around 33 personnel, including firefighters from Clark County District 6, responded to the fire.
It was surprising how long it took the fire to go out. It kept popping up. That shocked me, how they had to keep spraying it and going over it.
One adult was found dead inside an apartment, and according to the Vancouver Fire Marshal, it's likely over 20 people are displaced. The Red Cross bringing food and blankets and opening up a shelter to those who will be forced to begin rebuilding their life.
What we're doing here is giving people a place to sit down because several of them have been on their feet since 3 this morning. We are also going to be serving them meals until we get a shelter set up, which we have another team working on that right now.
So the Red Cross's initial gathering point for victims of the fire was at the New Life Church, but they've now opened up a shelter at River City Church for anyone who's been displaced and needs a place to stay the night. The fire marshal is conducting the investigation. They say they'll likely have more information this weekend. Christine?
So glad that the Red Cross is there to help. Thank you, Celine. In your headlines, another residential fire, this one in Gresham, ended in a total loss. Gresham Fire got a call around 11:15 this morning for a fire on Northeast 24th Street. The flames were out by the time our crews got there, but you can see how that fire damaged a portion of the home. Parts of the outside completely charred there. We are waiting to get more details. And a man accused of shooting and killing another man during a fight on a downtown Portland street a year and a half ago is going to prison for more than a decade. That shooting happened in October of 2023. Prosecutors say Demetrius Vaughn shot and killed 34-year-old Saul Escoto Villatoro in the back after a fight near Southwest 5th and Washington. Vaughn was arrested a couple months later and charged with second-degree murder. Yesterday, he agreed to plead guilty to manslaughter and a sentence of 13 years in prison. Dozens of mill workers in a small Washington town on the Columbia will soon be losing their jobs. The SDS plywood mill in Bingen near White Salmon and Hood River announced it is closing next month. 81 workers will be laid off. The mill has been a fixture in Bingen for nearly 8 decades. The owner says other operations will continue, including its stud and planer mills, as well as marine operations. Multnomah County's plan to build a new earthquake-proof Burnside Bridge has passed a key milestone. Over the winter, you may recall, crews dug and constructed a 125-foot deep, 10-foot wide test shaft just north of the bridge in Waterfront Park. Engineers tested how the new bridge's foundation will interact with the surrounding soil under extreme pressure. Turns out the soil is more resilient than originally thought. That data will be incorporated into the Burnside Bridge's final design. Construction of the new Burnside Bridge is expected to start in 2027 and finish by 2031. Tonight, a Tigard police officer is facing multiple charges after Washington County prosecutors say he lied on a search warrant. And it appears that led prosecutors to drop a case against a person facing felony drug charges last year. Our John Adams is live outside Tigard Police headquarters. So, John, what more can you tell us?
Christine, we know Tigard police officer Jacob Teeney is the one facing these charges. Teeney entered a plea of not guilty in court earlier today. Tigard police officer Jacob Teeney appeared before a Washington County judge for the first time on Friday morning. Prosecutors say Teeney, seen here in a previous story by KGW, made false sworn statements in a search warrant affidavit in August 2024.
And Mr. Teeney will need to be fingerprinted and photographed before you leave this morning. Thank you, Judge. Thank you. Thank you.
As first reported by OPB, Officer Teeney faces 3 charges, including official misconduct in the first and second degree and false swearing. Tung Yen, a law professor at Lewis and Clark Law School, discussed the severity of the charges.
They're criminal charges. They're not felonies, but they're not infractions, which would be the next lower level.
All of the charges involve the search warrant affidavit for a drug case against a man with a prior criminal history. However, according to court documents, that man's attorney asked a judge to toss the evidence found on his cell phone and in his car over that unlawful search by law enforcement.
And if the search warrant is invalid, then everything that's found pursuant to the search warrant cannot be used.
The case was ultimately dropped in early November.
If all of the charges are based on the evidence that was obtained as a result of the defective warrant. Well, then without the evidence, then they would have to dismiss the case because they wouldn't be able to prove it.
According to a Tigard Police Department spokesperson, Officer Tini was placed on administrative leave on November 1st after the department learned of the false swearing allegations. The department is currently conducting its own internal review of the case. According to Oregon law, Tini could face jail time if he is found guilty. His next court appearance is scheduled for June 6th. Christine?
We'll keep tabs on that next court date. Thank you, John. Tonight on The Story, new Trump administration cuts are stopping some Oregon programs in their tracks, including grant funding to initiatives designed to help crime victims and prevent gun violence. The Justice Department says the grant programs, quote, no longer effectuate agency goals or priorities. Many programs already in progress are now stopped partway through. In Oregon, these include multiple grants that funded violence prevention in local schools, offering mentoring and mediation to prevent shootings, an NAACP project in Eugene to improve the reporting of hate crimes, and a program to better legal services for people who are disabled and victims of a crime. Rihanna Hensley, an advocate for crime victims who are disabled, worked on developing a training for lawyers to better help people like her through the legal system. The funding cuts mean that training is now shelved.
We matter, and just because you may see us as lacking some kind of disability doesn't mean we lack the right to justice.
Coming up next on The Story at 6:30, investigative reporter Evan Watson shares his full report on these federal cuts, the explanation behind them, and the impacts on our community.